What you got? Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brian here. It's October, I think today's October 5th, and it's probably the nicest day we've had in October in quite some time here in Buena Vista. The weather's awesome. It's about 70 degrees out right now. There's just a slight breeze coming from the west. It's clear skies, and I don't think we have any rain in the forecast for today, which is a nice change. We had rain pretty much all year, so, well, not all year, but all summer since about June. So anyway, I've been having lots of requests for different videos, and one of the requests that keeps popping up is to do a video of what it's like to travel with a dog full-time. So wanted to talk about that, my experience with Sierra. I have a 42-pound cattle dog German Shepherd mix, and she is just hilarious. Talk about energy, she's just got tons of it. So I constantly have to hike her and stuff like that, but you know, it adds to the element of being outdoors and traveling like this. She's a great icebreaker as far as like making new friends. She'll run over to people, and she's just so excited to see everybody that everybody ends up loving her. And then I'll walk over and make new friends, which is nice. And then also too, on days where I don't particularly feel like being active, you know, I got to remember, well, Sierra needs to go for a walk or something like that, so we end up going for a hike, and it just always makes me feel better. So I think having her around and just waking up in the morning with her is hilarious, because like she's so excited to get outside. I'll drop down the tailgate here, and she'll jump out, and I swear like 50 feet, she'll cover like 50 feet before her legs even hit the ground, and then she's just off to the races and running around like crazy, which is which is a blast. And then also, you know, like dogs, when they get out in nature, they're just a ton of fun to be around. So anyway, wanted to talk about a few things to consider before you do travel full-time with your animal. So if you have a dog, I'm just speaking to dog owners. I don't have a cat. I don't have anything against cats. I just don't have one with me. But, you know, you want to think about, does your dog do well in the vehicle? You know, does your dog get separation anxiety? If it does, you know, having your, sorry, I got a bee right here. Having your animal in such a confined space when you're out doing stuff, if you have to go to the grocery store, run any errands, or if you're working, you know, and then you're traveling full time as well, like working jobs as you go along. If your dog's confined in such a small space and they have separation anxiety, then chances are your vehicle is going to get trashed. Also, too, you know, you want to think about, is your dog good with other dogs? Because you're going to run into other people that have dogs. And even when you're in the backcountry, you know, you still run across people hiking, and lots of times they have dogs with them. So, you know, is your dog friendly with other dogs? And then also, too, is your dog excuse me, is your dog friendly with other people? Because you don't want a real aggressive dog if you're traveling full time, because you're always going to be running into folks, and you know, if you have an aggressive dog that may have a tendency to attack others, that's just going to add to your troubles if you're on the road. You know, you don't want to have any sort of criminal complaints against you or anything like that due to unruly animal. So you know, I recommend, if your dog's of a good demeanor and active dog that's easy to please and doesn't need a bunch of specific requirements, then I'd say, you know, go for it and travel with your dog on the road. But if your dog is, you know, aggressive or not good with other people or other dogs or whatever, you know, maybe just keeping them in a house and keeping them in a yard is a better idea. You know, that leads into your dog being active. You know, if your dog is friendly and outgoing and active and all that stuff, it's gonna do three things. One, you're gonna get in better shape because you're gonna be out walking your dog around. Number two, since you're in better shape, you're gonna be in a better mood because all of your endorphins are firing. And then number three, like I was saying before, it's a great way to meet people. So I'll go to like a new area and walk my dog around a park, and next thing you know, you're talking to folks because your dogs like meet up and you say hello and all that stuff. So that's nice. One thing though to consider is, does your dog have any special dietary needs? Because if your dog does have dietary needs that are specific and they need a certain type of food or medicine or whatever it may be, you want to plan that in advance of where you're going, because where you're headed, especially if you're heading into like mountain towns, lots of times, you know, there's limited products. Not everything's available that would be available in the big city, and so plan that out if you're going to travel with your dog, and you know, your dog needs specific dog food or medicine. And then the last thing I'd want to say is, is your dog trained? Do you have your dog trained on voice command, or do you have to have your dog on leash all the time? Now, if you have to have your dog on leash all the time, that's not a problem. Just get one of those leashes like these right here that have the cord that go out, and then that way, your dog can have a little bit of roaming room. You could just leash them up to your tailgate or, excuse me, to your front bumper. But if your dog's good on voice command, you can kind of let your dog roam a little bit, and that's what I do. If I'm in an area where I know there's not a lot of people, then I'll let my dog roam. Then I'll just yell for her to come back, and she'll come right back to where I'm at. And so, just think about those things before you hit the road full time. And then after you do hit the road full time, what I'd recommend is that you always have a dedicated space or a couple dedicated spaces for your animal, and it's only for your dog. Like, nobody else sits there or anything. So I've converted the back seat of my vehicle into like Sierra's little lounge area, and so the whole back seat is for her. One side has her dog bed, and then I cover it up with a blanket, and she also sleeps there at night sometimes. And then during the daytime, she can kind of like hang out in the same area, and that way there's always a space for her that's only for her. And I don't even let other dogs sit in that area when they get in the vehicle. They usually just sit in the middle. So Sierra always has the rear seat, the passenger area in the back, and then also too in the sleeping area here. This section over here is where I'll bring Sierra in at night. So sometimes she'll sleep in the cab, and sometimes she'll sleep over here with me. When it gets cooler out, she likes to sleep with me because then the body heat, it's just warmer. But if you have those special dedicated places, then that's where your dog can always go to feel like safe and feel like, okay, this is where I belong in the vehicle, because it's such a tight space that you don't want to have it to where your dog doesn't know where to go. They'll kind of be skittish and walk all over everything and try to figure out, where am I supposed to be, and they just want to make you happy. So having those dedicated spaces is nice. And then also too, like a regular eating schedule. Like, you don't want to have it to where one morning you get up and you feed your dog right away, and then the next morning you just wait until noon. You want to have it to where it's, say, okay, 8 a.m. This is a defined, determined time that we're going to feed, and you lay out the dog food and the water, and just make sure that everything goes good, and then take your dog for a walk afterwards. Another thing is, if you're on long road trips and you're traveling from one destination to the next, stop about every 3 hours and just get your dog out and walk around. That'll make your dog happy, and plus too, it'll get you out and get you some exercise. It's nice to stretch your legs, and that's pretty much it. I don't really have any other recommendations, other than I do want to show you guys what the back seat looks like. So I'm going to power down the camera here for a second and set up over there, and I'll show you all the back seat. Sierra's in there right now napping, so we'll take a look in there. And then if you guys have any questions on the video, always just hit me up in the comment section below. So let's get a shot of that, and then we'll call it good. Okay, so here's the back seat. This is where Sierra gets to pretty much call it her space. And what I did in the back here is I've got some items that I can quick grab. I've got a bone that she likes to gnaw on, and then the Furminator. I know, baby. And then we've got some treats, and then some doggy waste bags, and a couple bones, and then some toothpaste. One thing I want to mention about the doggy waste bags is that it's very important to clean up after your dog, even if you're in, like, anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at, just clean up after your dog. But I especially want to make mention of that when you're back in the wilderness area, because like when you're out and about, you got to think that your dog is bringing in chemicals that are in the dog food into the backcountry, and you don't want that to pollute the area. So a lot of people say, well, it's a dog, and it's okay to leave the waste back there, but it's not okay. It can actually pollute the environment back there. So just always carry waste bags with you, even if you're backpacking, if you have your dog with you, and that way you can pack out any waste. So let's see, other than that, I think we're pretty good. That pretty much covers it as far as what I want to talk about. So if you have any questions, like I said, just please hit me up in the comment section below, and I hope you all are having a great week. Thanks.